Welcome everyone to this week's episode of In the Know with Kat Bobino. Today my extra special guest is Mr. Adam Berlew. Mr. Adam Berlew is VP of Global Marketing at Brocade in San Jose. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So can you tell the audience what you do as VP of Global Marketing?
Absolutely. So I have a global marketing team that obviously spans the globe. It's people who are doing a variety of go-to-market activities. Those include events, web marketing, working with analysts, analyst relations, media, as well as working with sales and doing sales and enablement.
Oh, wow. That sounds like you have a lot on your plate. So, when it comes to working with sales and marketing, what kind of things do you have to do being in charge as VP?
Yeah, so the most important thing is just driving alignment and ensuring that, for all intents and purposes, the sales goals and the marketing goals are exactly the same. Obviously, we're different sides of a coin, but if you're not aligned in terms of who the target customer is and what your revenue and margin goals are, then it tends to create conflict. So driving that alignment in both in terms of the goals and then the activities that are needed to get to those goals is the most critical thing.
Okay, awesome. And so, how about we start here with Brocade? What exactly is Brocade? What do you guys do as Brocade as a company?
Yeah, so Brocade is a software and hardware networking company, and its roots were in a protocol called Fiber Channel, and we have 80% market share in the Fiber Channel storage area networking business, and so we provide switching that facilitates networking for storage. That said, we also then expanded into IP networking or Internet Protocol networking over Ethernet. And that's sort of the more generic networking that's used in the data center and between data centers, sort of the all-purpose networking. And then from there, we got into software-based networking. And that's really using software on generic server boxes to create any particular type of network function that you want. And so we're one of the companies that are pioneering in what's called network function virtualization.
Wow. I don't know what any of that really means, so that's good.
I
But
mean,
I'm
ultimately, at the end of the day, just to sort of put it in a fashion that that I typically describe to my mother is in in you sort of have to think of the world in three components. There's obviously the laptop and the phone and the iPad that you play with every day. That's kind of the endpoint. Then there is the data center, which stores all of those apps like Google Search or Uber or Open Table or using Google Docs. That's all that stuff sits in a data center somewhere. And in those data centers are servers, storage devices, and then networks that connect those with the applications that run on top of them. And then between the data center and you is the internet or networks. And so there's networks in the data center, and then there's networks between data centers, and then there's networks that connect you to those applications. And so we provide that networking equipment that does the connection piece.
okay, okay. That is quite remarkable. And I can imagine, or I can't imagine, but I remember a time when none of this was really available. So this was all kind of brand new. I mean, I come from an era of beepers and Discman. So we see this humongous growth when it's coming to technology and computers and networks. Where do you see the near future? How is things going to change? I know you've talked about how Brocade has gone from more Ethernet to more software now. where do you see the future going with this stuff?
Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, right? We all want things on demand, right? We all watch streaming TV now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we all do everything on something mobile, right? On our phone or our iPad, carrying around. Even my MacBook Air is something that is not something I like to do. I'd rather just do it on my iPad.
Right.
And so, really, it's mobile, mobile, mobile. It's on demand. And it's also being able to do anything that you feel like you can only do on your laptop, you need to be able to do on your phone or your iPad.
Right.
And so that is really pushing things to what we call the edge, i.e., that mobile device.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything is going there. And obviously, there's a whole variety of technologies that support it. But whether it's having that capability in your car, having it, in your plane seat, or just having it, at the bar when you're having a drink, um, everything is really being accessible in the palm of your hand.
Wow. So, do you think that making everything accessible and everybody wants it now, 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 do you see that that could cause a problem later on? I know
I mean,
people. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, obviously, we there's a lot of attention deficit disorder in our world, and
Yes.
we, there's a variety of, I think, of things that are becoming, in many ways, a loss of discipline in terms of the way we think, and the way we interact. Um, so, what I suspect is, this is no different than the invention of the telephone or the invention of email, et cetera. But
Mm-hmm.
um, what I expect to happen is actually those same devices, and that same capability is going to evolve to help us overcome some of those problems.
Okay. I do see a lot of technology now that's able to help doctors with
Yep.
seeing what's going on with a patient that may not be able to make it to the hospital or to an appointment. Then there's all these technologies that's allowing researchers and doctors in the field to work where there aren't any hospitals or aren't any resources. So
Right.
I see a give and take of both as well.
Right.
Some
And
good, a little bit of
and
bad.
yeah, and someday, self-driving cars will overcome the fact that everybody's texting and driving. Now they can just text and they don't have to drive.
Right, and then you don't see those billboards anymore. Texting and driving, you're gonna die, or you're gonna get a
Right.
ticket. So, yeah, I'm about done with that. But I'm seeing those billboards. But anyway, let's get back to you. So, how about you tell us where you went to school and how you got into global marketing?
Yeah, so I just did a general bachelor's degree as an undergrad in what was called development studies. So it was really economics and political science, but looking at how economies developed. I had an interest, as from the age of 14, in computers, and so I always programmed on my own and did some programming classes, and then ultimately after college worked doing some programming, but that was short-lived. Um, and then I went to business school, and in
Okay.
business school I studied finance, and I studied marketing, and that really is what led to me developing a marketing career. My first job was as a consultant doing marketing strategy. And then I went from there to go work for in industry,
Mm-hmm.
and I've done really every type of marketing that there is, everything from PR, public relations, analyst relations, to events, to web media, to product marketing. I've just done the whole breadth, and so what I would say is, and I've also done sales,
Okay.
and so what I'd say is. The thing that I've done is I've been industrious in terms of trying to do as wide a variety of jobs in my field as possible.
Okay. And with your variety of all these different marketings that you've done, what is it about the marketing that's drawing you in, that makes you want to go out and do that aspect of technology?
Well, I really feel like marketing is helping people understand how to get value out of their technology, and so I love technology. I have 2 phones, 2 iPads, 3 computers, 4 TVs. I love technology.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
and um, and there's lots of, as there's lots of great things you can do with it. And so I'm both a consumer, right, and somebody who sort of markets and sells it. And so what I like about it is being able to just not only help people understand how they get value out of it, but actually help people understand how to create value. And today, with machine learning and artificial intelligence and rethinking the way that we do data science, there's just incredible things that can happen. And for me right now, that's being part of discovering how we can really change the way we work, and we advance our learning. That's the exciting part.
Wow, okay. So you did mention AI, and I know you're in the world of technology. Are we going to see a shift towards AI, like a major shift towards that? Are we going to see a lot more AI in the general public versus, some of the videos or clips we see online that they might be doing in competitions, but more in the general public area?
Absolutely. I mean, I use Waze every morning to get up and figure out the best route to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's all driven by AI machine learning.
Okay. And I thought, didn't Google buy Waze, or were they going
Yep.
to buy Waze? Okay, yes. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. So now Waze is incorporated in Google Maps,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I
you
mean,
prefer Waze, just Waze?
yes. Yes.
I mean, it's a really good program. I do like Waze and how anyone could add to it. And now as soon as they know that there's maybe a cop up there or there's a traffic accident that you might want to avoid. So it's
Yeah.
really good programming. But I never quite thought of it as being AI. So how
Yeah. Well,
does it work as an AI? Do you know?
yeah, sure. I mean, it's the looking at the patterns and seeing how people are moving around the streets faster than others. That learning is what's driving their engine.
Okay. Do you see do you foresee a life like I, Robot, the movie?
No.
We're not gonna have we're not gonna have a wave of robots
No.
overpowering us and think that they're better than us. Okay, well that's good to know.
I would say Westworld is a better.
Oh, Westworld. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Okay, so with your position as VP of Marketing, what does that entitle you? Like, what are some of the perks that you get as being a VP?
Yeah, I would say the perks are double-edged swords.
Okay.
So, I get to travel the world and visit my team, but that means I have to travel the world, right? So 11-hour flights, 17-hour flights.
Yes.
You never get enough time to really enjoy it, but you see the world. So that's a perk. The other thing is we work with lots of other companies and we have lots of partnerships, and so you spend a lot of time with other companies that have really advanced technology, and you get to learn about it and figure out how 1 + 1 = 3, and so that's really good, really fun as well, but it really takes a lot of work. And then I'd say the other thing is, from a marketing perspective in particular, there's new tools and new techniques that you can really take advantage of every day as web media evolves, mobile media evolves, and so that's really interesting in terms of what you can do in terms of identifying what people are interested in and how you can present information to them that's most appealing. But you have to stay on top of all those advances in technology. And so I would say there's great learning, great exposure to things, but it takes work.
Okay. And so you say you get to travel the world. How many countries is Brocade located in?
I think we're in 40 markets.
Ooh, 40 markets. That is a lot. And you have to visit every market?
No.
Oh, good. Okay.
I only go to the ones that have really good restaurants.
Okay. Well, then, I mean, that makes sense. At least you have a team, right? You can send them to the places where the restaurants may not be so great. So, how long have you been at Brocade, and how long did it take you to go up that ladder to become a VP?
I've been at Brocade 2 years,
Okay.
and I have got a career that's 25 years long
Uh,
in IT marketing, and so it's been quite a climb. What I would say is people different companies think about VPs differently,
mm-hmm.
um, and so what's a VP one place might not be a VP somewhere else. And so I don't really focus on the title. It's really about kind of the scope, and both in terms of the responsibility, the market opportunity. I think that's really the thing to focus on.
Okay. That sounds good. And so, this 25-year span of doing IT marketing, would you ever trade that in for anything else? Or did you really enjoy the ride that you've gotten through
No, no, I've enjoyed it. I think it's no, I can't think of anything else.
this? Okay, so now you've been there for 2 years, and I'm not saying anything outside of that, but what do you see in the future? What do you want to do, or do you want to continue along this path?
The thing that's I think the evolution from here is, um, as I said, right, the world is evolving really, really fast,
Mm-hmm.
and being part of a team that is helping to shape the way um, we think about IT and how not only how we use it but how we architect it is what's exciting, and so that can take me many places, right,
Right.
into services, back into sales, into running a business unit. But I think there's lots of options ahead of me.
Awesome. So we have discussed, your background and your schooling and where you want to go. So, what do you do outside of work? What do you do for fun when you are not working at Brocade?
Yeah, so I do a number of things. We've got a long weekend coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm headed up north to hear some live music
Okay.
and do a little wine tasting. I
Nice.
also I love to be outdoors, so I do a lot of biking and a lot of hiking, and so hope to get some of that in this weekend as well. Um, and then I don't do much of it, but I really enjoy fly fishing, and so just being outside in nature. And this winter I did a bunch of snowshoeing because we had that giant snowfall, and so that was good as well. But I would just say I grew up in the country, and I like to kind of get back to the woods.
Okay. Where did you grow up, if you don't mind me asking?
I grew up in Maine, off the coast of Maine, on a little island called Deer Isle.
Oh, really? I didn't even know there were. Are there multiple islands off the coast of Maine, or just like one or two?
No, there's a lot of islands off the coast of Maine.
Really?
Yeah.
I have never known that. And is it, so you said that's country life. How is it growing up on a small island that's off the coast?
It's small. It's small town life.
It's
It's 10 kids in your eighth grade class.
Oh, wow.
Everybody knows what everybody's doing.
Well, I mean, on the flip side, though, that means you get more one on one with teachers, right? You get opportunities to be pushed further instead of being lost in the crowd, I would say, right?
Yeah, you don't get lost in a crowd, that's for sure.
So, where did you end up going to college when you left the small town?
I went to Brown University in Rhode Island.
Okay. I feel like Rhode Island is still kind of small.
Well, it's a small state,
Yeah.
but it's but it's a very cosmopolitan place, and it's Providence is a pretty big town, so it's close to Boston and New York. I wouldn't it for me it was the big city.
Appreciate it. And then, so how was it when you left there? I'm pretty sure you didn't come straight to California, but how do you compare the life in San Jose versus in Providence and where Brown is, or versus where you came from in Maine?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the wonderful thing about Silicon Valley and California is, um, this is, from a tech perspective, this is the center of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
It attracts a whole variety of people, so it's a super diverse place. Um, and so that's fun. And obviously, the weather and the environment here is, completely different than
Mm-hmm.
the sort of, gray, dark, stormy weather of New England. Um, and while New England is a real educational center,
Mm-hmm.
also has a variety of industries, has a tech base as well. Um, I really enjoy Silicon Valley and all it has to offer.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I have been to New England in the Boston area, and there's a lot going on there that I don't think people realize. A lot of education based things going on, especially all the schools that are out there, all the
Yeah.
colleges. But one of the things that I've told students when I talk to them about going to college is to leave your area. Do you feel like it's a good thing to leave kind of where you're from, where you're like from, and you understand everything that's going on, and to learn about different culture of people? Or do you think it's better to stay kind of where you know, and then you might have a nice solid foundation when going to college?
I think it just depends on your personal situation, but I do believe that seeing the world is extremely important. And so there's lots of ways you can get it. And so I think, from a picking college perspective, so much of it just depends on your personal situation and what you need out of college.
Okay, that's good to know. And I know that you were talking about traveling and seeing the world, and but you also like being outside. Do you ever get an opportunity when you are traveling to maybe go hiking or to have an opportunity to see their natural resources in other countries?
A little bit, not that much. It's usually like a day here or there, but I tend to uh, just travel during the work week, and or at least be on the ground during the work week, and travel sort of to and from on the weekend. And so I usually don't get that much time.
Oh, okay. So if there was a student who was watching this program and was seeing what you've done, has a passion for IT or technology, but maybe want to do it from a more business aspect of it, what advice would you give them?
Well, my advice would be sort of twofold. One of which is that they really need to always be thinking long term and thinking about the long game. And what I mean by that is not simply about what you do today or in the next month or even the next year, but it's about where you want to be 5 years from now, and that needs to be context as to how do you enter, because there's particularly if you're a student and um, you don't have any work experience, you kind of just need to find your way in, and that's not always that easy. And so I would I would say I wouldn't be arrogant about the job you're going to take, and I would go and find jobs that people are willing to have you for, and so there's lots of those, and then there's lots of progressive companies like Facebook and Google that are actively hiring people who are right out of school, and I would be go find one of those opportunities and be very thankful for it.
Okay. Well, I know you've been very, very busy over the last month or so, so I want to thank you for finding the time to be on the show and share your story. And if there was anything else you want to say before we shut out, this is your opportunity to say it now.
No, I just say thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I think you're doing a great service here, and so keep doing that. And anytime you want me back, just let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show today. And I want to say thank you to my audience for checking in with us today on In the Know with Kat Bobino. And next week, we'll be talking to someone totally different, so make sure you tune in. Thank you and have a great Memorial Weekend.